The Romans came to Galicia in the 1st century before Christ. They were small detachments that were looking for a land to conquer. Along the road that would take them to the Atlantic Ocean, the Romans settled in certain places of passage where they could rest from their long journeys. When placing their camps, they always had in mind 3 basic requirements. The first was the existence of a nearby river to have water to drink. The second was to establish their settlements on a high ground from which to control all around. And third, that the defense of the camp will be done in high places of the land. Once chosen the place, they will build a small building. At first, they were mansions, which we now understand by an inn and refreshment of chivalry, beside a small house. In these settlements, a small guard and a small number of fully Romanized inhabitants would live together, reaching eventually form a small town. This place gave rise to the city we know today as Santiago de Compostela. And if the river determined the place, it will be the sea which will bring an unexpected visit, and with it, the legend. In the mid-1st century after death, 2 men set off on a small boat from the port of Jaffa, Palestine. Their names were Athanasius and Theodore. They carried with them the remains of James, the son of Zebedee. They began a new journey in an old boat without oars, guided by their master. They walked down the main ports of that time to reach the Galician coast. Specifically, they arrived at Iria Flavia, and after tying the boat to a stone, continued their journey on foot with the remains of his master. This stone will give rise to the current name of the place, Padrón. Galicia, at that time, was dominated by the Romans. Athanasius and Theodore came to a small Roman settlement located on the top of a hill, a place that will be marked forever. It was there where they decided to bury the remains of his master James, but this place would be abandoned many years later, covered of weeds and vegetation, becoming slowly in a forest, the Liredon forest, that would hide the remains of the master James for years. James, the son of Zebedee, the same man who centuries later will be known by the name of Santiago. Between the 820 and the 830 after Christ, the light will be back in Liredon Forest, a forest located in the diocese of Iria Flavia in Galicia, in the Astur Kingdom. An hermit who lived near the mountain saw one night a strange phenomenon. An extraordinary light illuminated the heart of the forest and suggested a place. His name was Pio, and the place was none other than an ancient mausoleum, an old abandoned tomb for centuries. Pio thought those lights had a supernatural value, so quickly he went to tell his discovery to the highest religious authority of Iria Flavia, Bishop Theodomir. Pio told Theodomir what he saw with his eyes, prompting the desire in the eyes of Theodomir of contemplating the phenomenon by himself. Theodomir entered the mausoleum where he would make a discovery that would change that place forever. Right there in the mausoleum, under the brush, in the heart of the forest Livredon, rested the remains of St. James and his two disciples, Theodore and Athanasius. Theodomir apprised of what was found, the tomb of St. James, to the Asturian king Alfonso II. The discovery was so great that the king wanted to see for himself. The King Alfonso rode out along a path, the first path in which a pilgrim would travel to the grave of Santiago, the primitive way. Alfonso II would thus become the first pilgrim who visited the tomb of St. James. He commanded to build a small church, a basilica over the mausoleum, so people everywhere could visit the apostle. The news of the discovery would soon reach the borders of Europe, so that hundreds of pilgrims walked to that place where they could see the apostle. A magical place that grew up more and more over time, a starry field who has since become known as Santiago de Compostela. Many men since then approached to him, creating new routes and roads to Santiago.